everybody, it's Insta Live on Fry. It's 2 p.m. on the dot. I'm so excited to be here again. And I'm not wearing purple today, so I apologize, but it is still try. Okay, we're back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My internet was like all funky, so I don't know if you heard me talking. So I'll just restart. Okay, so hello again, Insta Live on Fry. It's a little bit after 2 p.m. now. So like I said, I'm not wearing purple right now, but it's still Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's still October. All of October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So this month's really, big for us. We have a lot of awareness events. If you guys are following us on social media, you'll see all the stuff that we've been planning. All of it's virtual, and as my stuff sells down in the background, I'm telling you, it's one of those days. All right, let's try that again. All right, so like I said, we are doing DV focused topics for the month, and today I'm talking about red and green flags in relationships, and just looking at relationships and healthy or unhealthy ways a relationship could go or start or anything progress into a more unhealthy or a healthy relationship, and how to identify those things. When you're in a relationship, this can be romantic, friendship, family, anything, any sort of relationship. Like usual, I'll introduce myself because I don't know if everyone remembers me. My name's Audrey Button. I'm a college specialist here at Safe Harbors of the Finger Lakes. I use the pronouns she, her, hers. And like I always give content warnings because there could be material in our videos that are sensitive information and discussions that might be sensitive for some people, just so everyone's aware, because I will have this video recorded. It will be saved on our Instagram page, and I'll also post it on our YouTube channel, which is Safe Harbors of the Finger Lakes. And I'm still working out the whole logistical things and technology. I haven't been able to figure out how to put our link to our YouTube channel on our Instagram yet. But if you go on YouTube and search Safe Harbors of the Finger Lakes, you should be able to find us on there. And the recorded videos are on there with captions. So just a quick disclaimer before we start. So the views and opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily those of Safe Harbors of the Finger Lakes, but of those in the video. So we'll get right to it. And almost under Friday on a high note. So thank you guys for all tuning in. I really appreciate all my fans. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'll start with red flags though, but in general, I'll kind of explain why red flags are important, but I'll also mention green flags because we want to try to stay positive too. So red flags are the stuff that could be unhealthy. I'm not saying they're necessarily unhealthy right away, but they might be indicators of it becoming an unhealthy relationship. So it's kind of like that early warning sign that this seems a little odd, but you're like, oh, maybe this is really romantic, but then they keep doing it and you're like, that's not romantic, that's not right, or that's not okay. That's what red flags are, and I'll kind of go into depth when I'm talking about them. I have them listed behind me, and always, they're probably backwards to you guys, so I apologize. So red flags are subtle usually, so you might not notice them right away when you're in a relationship with somebody. And like I said, it doesn't have to be romantic. This could be a friendship, this could be with family members, anything like that. So like I said, red flags in the beginning might seem like healthy things in a relationship, but they could turn unhealthy over time, or they might get more intense, so it might become a little overwhelming or unhealthy eventually. So noticing the red flags early can prevent something from escalating into a more serious issue, like physical violence, more aggressive verbal violence, mental, emotional, anything sort of violence, so more intense violence. Not that these things don't matter, but they're a good indicator to an unhealthy relationship possibly. Not all of these are necessarily unhealthy in all relationships. Everyone has different types of relationships. Everyone has different types of boundaries for themselves. Their friends or partners or whoever also have different boundaries. So like we've talked about before in our last video with boundaries, communication is important, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But communication is a big key to see if you can identify those red flags, because what might be okay for them might not be okay for you, and vice versa. So they might think it's a healthy thing, maybe that was modeled to them and that seemed healthy to them, but it's not healthy to you. So for you, identifying those red flags that you want to look out for in a relationship will be really helpful for preventing a more serious abusive relationship of some sort. And like I said, red flags are not necessarily abusive to everybody or signs of a possible abusive relationship, but this is something to keep an eye on and address. So maybe your partner didn't realize or your friend didn't realize that that was a problem for you. So having that open discussion, communication, setting those boundaries, really big and really important to do. So we'll go ahead and talk about the red flags first. So I'll end on a positive note and identify green flags, which are healthy things that could lead to a healthy relationship, okay? So constantly jealous. I had people say, oh, that's kind of it depends on what they're jealous about, but I'm like, if they're constantly jealous, it's kind of okay, that's not okay. They clearly can't trust you. They're worried about what you're doing. The trust thing's kind of the big part. If they're constantly jealous, or don't appreciate for who you are, or they're worried you're with somebody else or what you do, they're jealous of that, maybe you have a better job than them, I don't know. Constantly jealous is not something that's probably really helpful, but in the beginning maybe it seems like they really aspire to be like you, or they're really jealous because they think you're so cool. That may seem cool, but eventually it's going to be okay, you're always jealous of me, you're always upset, and that might escalate into them getting angry about it, stuff like that. So constantly jealous I have as a red flag. And like I said, this is kind of a warning sign, it's not necessarily in the unhealthy zone yet. So pretend this is in the middle, then we have our green flags, and then the healthy as I knock it down again. Don't peek at my green flags. Okay, so constantly jealous, peer pressure. So they're pushing you, maybe as your friend or group of friends, they're encouraging you to do stuff you're not comfortable with. It could be a partner or a family member, like I said. They're pressuring you to do something you don't want to do, and they don't respect that. They aren't respecting you. If you feel uncomfortable and they have to keep pressuring you to do it, then, that's not okay. Guilt tripping, that kind of goes with that. So making you feel bad about yourself, it's your fault, that's probably a clear indicator of it turning into an unhealthy relationship. Pressuring you to engage in riskier behavior, that kind of goes with the peer pressuring. So maybe they're encouraging you to do drugs, alcohol, commit crimes, break in places, shoplift, anything like that. Maybe they're encouraging you to have sex unprotected, or different things during sex that you're uncomfortable with that could be potentially risky, and also just because that goes along with the consent part. If you're not comfortable with it, they're peer pressuring you to do it, then they're not getting consent, and you're not okay with it. So that kind of goes with that. Too much checking in. People might find that sweet in the beginning, they're always saying, oh, how's work? But they're texting you every half an hour. That's probably a little too much. That's kind of goes with the communication. Maybe you like them checking in multiple times a day. Maybe you don't want them to check in with you until you see them later. That's all dependent on what you like, and that's why it's important to let them know what you're okay with. So constantly check in can get a little too much, because if they're texting you or calling you all the time, want to know where you are, where your location is, that can be a little concerning. Constant mood swings. You can never predict how they're going to feel. You're kind of bracing for them to be angry, or you're not sure how they're going to feel when you see them. That could be an indicator of an unhealthy relationship. Sorry guys, I can't talk today. Of an unhealthy relationship. So they're constantly in different moods, and you can't predict it. It's very up here or down there. There's no constant in between. Usually the mood fits whatever's going on, but if it's kind of all over the place, that could be kind of a indicator of an unhealthy relationship. Pressure to share things you don't want to share. So if you have some stuff that's going on in your own life you don't want to talk to them about yet because maybe you don't feel comfortable, maybe you haven't gained their trust, or you don't trust them, that kind of goes with the peer pressure, the pressuring part. They're encouraging you to share things you don't want to share with them, then that they clearly don't respect you and how you want to share your own things. So that's that's a part of you and how you want to share things. No one else can make you share things you don't want to share. So that's pretty self-explanatory. But jealous when you spend too much time with friends and family. Because however much time you want to spend with friends and family, that's up to you. If they're constantly jealous because maybe friends and family are really important to you and you spend a lot of time with them, or whatever they consider too much time, if they don't respect that, then maybe that goes with a jealousy thing. Maybe they're constantly jealous that you're always with your family or friends or whatever. That can kind of go with that. So constantly nervous, anxious, like constantly nervous and anxious about the relationship, there's a difference between having butterflies. Everyone's like, oh, I always get butterflies when I'm around them. Like, okay, maybe in the beginning of the relationship you're a little nervous, but if you're constantly anxious or nervous to see them, you're bracing for something bad to happen, that could be an indicator that this is not going in the right direction. And lastly, just the gut feeling in general. If you have a bad feeling about it, that this is going in the wrong direction, that could be a sign. So maybe taking a step back and be like, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Analyzing it. And if they still, once you have a conversation with them and say, hey, that doesn't make me feel comfortable, like this is something I don't like, and they still don't respect you, then that should be, a tell. All right, we're back. My internet is terrible today. I am so sorry. So I don't know what part you guys heard, but, just analyzing it. And if you feel uncomfortable, you have just that gut feeling that something's not going right, take a step back, analyze it, figure out what is bothering you, and having that conversation with them. And if they still don't respect it, that can be kind of like the final straw. Be like, okay, clearly they don't respect me. They don't care about my feelings and how I feel about it. Then that could be like an indicator that maybe you need to end a relationship, however you want to do it. But these are just meant to be indicators to help identify what could become a potentially unhealthy relationship. So, like I said, I want to end on a positive note. So we're going to talk about green flags, things that could be a sign of a positive, healthy relationship. These are things that you can look for in someone that, could lead to a healthy relationship. So, self-responsibility. They they're responsible for themselves. They don't try to blame other people. They take initiative and do things on their own. That's really great. They're not putting blame on someone else or the pressure on someone else to do it. Supports personal growth. So they really care about how you take care of you. That you're doing things you like to do, that you're happy, that you're able. They really respect you and wanting to improve yourself. That's basically that. Has healthy hobbies. So that could be a little, up in the air, but healthy hobbies are important. So if they deal with their stress in a good way, or they have good ways of coping, like doing stuff like they like to read, or they like to go for a walk, they like to exercise, they like to clean, whatever their healthy hobbies are. I don't know, whatever your hobbies are, if they're healthy and they help you cope in a healthy way, that's important. Practices self-care, that kind of goes with the hobbies thing, but just practicing self-care. I know we're not all perfect. I always preach self-care, but I don't necessarily practice it. But it's important to take care of yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, how can you keep your relationships positive with everybody else? So, we're not perfect, but trying your best to take care of yourself is only going to help your relationships. Because if you're miserable all the time, you're having a really hard time, most of the time, friends and family and partners will understand that, but taking care of yourself is really important. So I always like to throw that one out there. Self-reflective. They're not perfect. You're not perfect, but they realize that they aren't perfect. They make mistakes, but reflecting on that, there's a difference. So they need to learn from those mistakes and move on. So they're very self-reflective. It's very important. Displays vulnerabilities. And I say don't take advantage of them, because people might see those vulnerabilities as a way to take advantage of you, but also that shows that they're not perfect. They do have some weaknesses, but they don't take advantage of them for those weaknesses, but let them know that it's okay to have those weaknesses. Encourage them to grow and become a stronger person, because we aren't perfect, but don't take advantage of them because of those vulnerabilities. Empathetic. So there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. So someone who's sympathetic is like, oh, I understand how you feel. You don't, because everyone's different. We all go through different things differently. So as much as you want to try to sympathize with somebody, it's probably not the best way to do it, because you don't know what they've been through. You might have not been there with them while they're going through it, and they might have experienced it a whole different way than you did. So being empathetic is listening to them and being attentive to them and saying, I hear you, I see you, I can understand maybe why that's, bothering you that way, or that, but you don't understand what they've been through necessarily, but you can try your best to listen and be attentive to them while they share their story. So, empathetic, that's important, definitely. And compromises when necessary. So, it's not like my way or the highway kind of thing. You guys can agree, split it however you want to do it, but you can compromise when needed on decisions or when you're doing stuff in general. You're able to like have that conversation. Like I said, the communication thing's really important. They're dependable. They're not always flaking on you. I mean, sometimes everyone can't be there all the time, but they're pretty dependable. They're always there for you, even if it's just to listen on a phone call. They might not be physically there with you all the time, but they're always there to listen, and they're always there, and you feel like you can always talk to them even if you don't talk to them all the time. They're that person. And values your thoughts and opinions. So they really respect you for who you are. They listen to you. They might not agree with you, and it's okay to not agree sometimes. But they hear you. They see you. They're like, yeah, I understand how you feel. That's a really good point. I hear you, but they respect you for that, and they don't try to argue with you all the time about that. They're independent. They're able to be on their own. That's kind of important. If they have to depend on you all the time, that can be a little too much. But being independent is okay, but also it's okay to depend on people. There's kind of like, you'll find your happy medium wherever that is. And that's part of the communication piece, having that conversation with your partner, friend, family member, whoever it is. And then they can maintain long and healthy relationships. They're not always having like bad friendships all the time. They're not always saying like, oh, I had to break up with him, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just constant. Like, they're always like having like to end relationships. It could be a sign that that's a red flag, but if they can maintain long and healthy relationships, that might be a green flag, a good indicator for a healthy relationship. And last but not least, they honor your boundaries. Like I said, if you set clear boundaries and they respect them, that's probably going to lead to a healthy relationship because they're actually listening to you and respecting you. So I know that kind of was like a lot, but just to kind of give you an idea, maybe if you want to analyze relationships in your own life, I'm not saying you have to end or start relationships any means, but making sure you're communicating and setting those boundaries is most important. If they can't respect you for that, maybe that could be an indicator that maybe something needs to change, or however you want to deal with it. But these are just meant to help you identify maybe a potentially unhealthy or a healthy relationship. So I'm trying to think of, I mean, you'll have that feeling if you know it's going good, because sometimes when you're starting a new relationship, you might not be fully getting the whole picture. So making sure you are taking care of you and making sure you see how you feel when they do things. If you don't feel good, then there's probably something wrong. But if you feel good, making sure they feel good too. So having that open communication. I say communication and boundaries all the time, but that is literally the biggest thing to relationships. Communication and setting boundaries, and if they respect them, then that's good. I just said like the same thing a million times, but that's all I have for today. But if you have any more questions about red flags or green flags or healthy or unhealthy relationships or anything in general that I've talked about, or just have questions in general, please reach out to us. And we always post stuff on our social media, and like I said, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so keep following us. We have a meme contest, so if you like memes, please submit a meme. And we do have a walking wag for your pets, so you can still register. You might not get your bandanas in time, but you can check out for all that info on our pages. And okay, we're back. Sorry, that's like the third time that's happened. But like I said, keep following us for more stuff. We're going to be talking about safety planning next Friday at 2 p.m. like always. So tune in then, and I will have this video recorded. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But if you have questions or concerns, or you just want to talk more about this stuff, please give us a call. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline if you ever need anything either, which our hotline is 800-247-7273. Or you can also go to our website for more information, which is www.shflny.org for more information. So don't be afraid to call or reach out. And thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate you. So everyone have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys all later. Thank you.